Just saying, the neck turns the head, right? Which goes right along with my message. Eve had great power over Adam. She brought Adam down with one word: eat. Eat. And through all time, that has been the downfall of people. We still want to eat what we shouldn't eat. We want to look at what we shouldn't look at, and we let it dominate our lives. And God said there will be nothing that he states as sin will enter in. And so we were discussing a few things in the back. There's some things that I've been dealing with that have been, I thought, under the blood, gone. And then my beautiful great-grandkids moved in. And I have been dealing with anger. Whew, goodness sake. I can't even tell you the degree. But I know that with the amount of the anger, that it's a deeper cleansing that's coming. So if you have a besetting sin, and a besetting sin is something that comes up periodically in your life, something that you deal with periodically, each time is a deeper level of cleansing until complete victory. I know you wouldn't think I had a temper, but golly, woo, Mike knows. So we have to be careful what we eat. And I'm talking not just physical food. I'm talking with our eyes, with our mind, in our soul, in our spirit. We have to be careful what we eat, okay? Because one word, whatever your favorite sin is, the one that you don't really want to give up, will bring you down. And it will bring you down, and you'll spend eternity in hell until you get rid of it and get victory over it. Okay, enough about that. We know Eve did us a disservice, okay? I had the privilege yesterday of sharing at a mother-daughter tea, and I told Mike that some of what I had is really relevant for today. We have 4 daughters. We have 9 granddaughters. We have 8 grandsons. We have 3 1/2 great-granddaughters. We have one coming in August. We have 2 great-grandsons. So our legacy that we can leave is going to be massive, depending on how Mike and I live our lives. Depends on what we do with our lives, how much time we spend in prayer for our family, how much we try to help them. And gals, don't think that that you don't have the power. Let me see, in Genesis 21, oh, I don't know if I put that as number 1 or number 2, but Genesis 21, yeah, it's number 1. Okay. We're talking about Sarah. And in 21:9, this is how much power Sarah had. Okay. Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, scoffing at her. Ugh. Therefore, she said to Abraham, "Cast out this bondwoman and her son." In other words, get rid of her. Get her out of my face. Get her out of my life. I don't want her here. For the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, namely Isaac. And so what does Abraham do? He got rid of her. So we wield great influence over our husbands. Great influence. Abraham did what he was told to do by Sarah. And Hagar was out. Not that he didn't bless, he blessed Hagar's son just like he blessed Isaac. But Isaac was the child of promise. And so he could not take part of the great promise. And that is why we have all the trouble in the Far East today, is because of sin. Somebody trying to manipulate and get what the promise that God had for them instead of waiting for God to do it. Because when Sarah said, take my handmaiden Hagar into your tent and sleep with her, and then she bore Ishmael, we've been dealing with the spirit of Ishmael all these years. And it has brought great turmoil, and it is not what God had planned. That was plan B of a woman. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful what we do there. Okay. Then I want to look at Rebecca. I don't think I gave you that, or did I? I did this really quick this morning. I was half with and half not. Okay, it was Rebecca in Genesis 24. And this is where Isaac, his mother has passed away, and they want him to marry. And so the servant is sent to find him a wife. Sight unseen. Girls, how would you like that for mom or dad to send somebody off to find you your husband? And of course, back then it was from the same family line, right? From the same family line. And so Rebecca, sight unseen, it tells us, we will call this young woman and ask her personally. Then they called Rebecca and said to her, will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. That had to be a God thing. Today's time, we're all about the visual. We want somebody that looks a certain way, you know, and behaves a certain way. You know, we have all these concepts in our mind. But I'm telling you what, this is just a package. And the package is only as good as what's inside. Beauty's skin deep and ugly's clean to the bone, in other words. It's something that we get caught up due to the TV and commercial. We're looking at the package, and I'm telling you what, you can have a beautiful person, a beautiful package, and be lousy inside. And it distorts the picture that everybody sees, because you are what's in you, not what you look like. Right. It's what's in you that portrays. That's where the problem is. And so Rebecca said, yes, I will go. Sight unseen. That had to be a God thing. Had to be a God thing. But now she was kind of crafty later. After she had children, she was kind of crafty with her boys. And so not always a good thing. We can't, probably better than crafty would be manipulative to get her own way. And that can be done several ways. We each know how to move our man in the direction that we want him to go. That's the neck, turning the head. And it's not always a good thing. Not always a good thing. Another woman that I have in here is Jael. And I don't think I gave you that one, Philip. It's in Judges 4. I'm not even going to read it. Jael was ruthless. Ruthless. Deborah, who was a prophetess and like a judge over Israel, she had told Barak that he needs to go and do battle. And he said, I'm not going unless you go. And she said, well, I go with you. A woman's going to get the victory. And Jael is the woman. She was ruthless. Here comes the king running, hiding from the Israelites. And he says, hide. When they come, tell them that you have not seen me. Oh, she's so sure. Come on in. Come on in. Isn't that like sin? Come on in. Enjoy it. She gives him some warm milk. She lulls him to sleep. She takes a tent peg and drives it through his temple. Ruthless. 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 But she got the victory over the enemy. So sometimes ruthless works. And she got the victory. Okay, another one that I have here is, my numbers are slipping. 1 Samuel, the first chapter. Here we're looking at Hannah, the mother of Samuel. Samuel was a great man for God. She was an ideal woman. She was barren. She's looking for a child. In every young woman, from the time they're little on, when they pick up those baby dolls and they hold them and they pretend to feed them and they do all things with them, they're planning. They're preparing for a lifetime of motherhood. If you don't have a dog, cats work good. They wear baby clothes really well. I used to do that. And they weren't real cooperative. Well, some kids aren't either. If you've ever had any, you know they aren't always cooperative. But she was prayerful. In 1 Samuel 1, 10, and 11, she was in bitterness of soul and prayed to the Lord and wept in anguish. Now this is a deep, deep hurt. Then she made a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your maidservant and remember me and not forget your maidservant, but will give your maidservant a male child, then I will give him to the Lord all the days of his life, and no razor shall come upon his head. Now some of us know the story. I think it tells the self-denial in 1 Samuel 1, 27 and 28. For this child I prayed, and the Lord has granted me my petition, which I asked of him. Therefore I also have lent him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he shall be lent to the Lord. So they worshiped the Lord. She took him from the day he was weaned, and they went to the temple, and she gave this baby to the priest to raise. Self-denial, sacrificial, thanksgiving. The whole chapter, 1 Samuel chapter 2, is nothing but Hannah's prayer. It's too long to even read today, but it is how thankful she is. It's a Hannah song of gratitude that God heard her in her need and in her desire to give her a child. And then she gives him willingly to the priest. Now, in the reading here, it tells how every year they went back, she took him new clothes. Why? Because she knew he had grown. And he didn't just grow physically, he grew spiritually. He was to become the leader in Israel. Prophetically, he was it. So you see the industry where she makes his clothing. You see the maternal love that she takes to him every year, something for him to wear. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do it. Okay, in 2 Samuel, we go and we find in 21, 2 Samuel 21, and verse 9 and 10, we're going to see Rizpah, the maternal love. It knows no limits, okay? Here, there's been a battle, and the Gibeonites have come and wreaked havoc again, and there were some that were killed. There were 7 sons. They had been born to Saul's concubine, and he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and they hanged them on a hill before the Lord. So they fell, all 7 together, and were put to death in the days of harvest, in the first days in the beginning of the barley harvest. Now Rizpah, the daughter of Ai, took sackcloth and spread it for herself on the rock from the beginning of the harvest until the late rains poured on them from heaven, and she did not allow the birds of the air to rest on them by day, nor the beasts of the field by night. This woman stayed awake. She was alert. She watched everything. Not one thing touched those bodies. Not one thing. Now I'm assuming from one harvest to the next, that had to be a long time. From the harvest to the late rains, a long time, maybe weeks, and she got no rest, no sleep, because birds of prey will come every time there's something dead. They'll come and they'll eat from it. So she had that maternal love, even though they were gone. Even though they were gone. There's several women of faith that some I didn't even give Philip because there's just so many scriptures. Midwives in Exodus where baby Moses, his mother, Exodus 2:3, maternal love, she spared her son, made a basket, put him in the water for the Pharaoh's daughter to save him. Why? To free the people. To free the people. The midwives at that time were told to kill them, kill any boys that are born. But because of their obedience, they were given children of their own. So sometimes we don't get because we're not obedient. We have to guard our hearts, guard our minds. This word is so full of so many people that you can research out and see what they did. Even 2 prostitutes. It talks about them. They go before the king, and the one's baby has died in the night. She laid on it. And the other one was alive, and she traded babies. Well, I don't care who. You know your own baby. Just saying. You know every little finger, every little toe. You know every little blemish. You know the look in their eye when they look at you. And there was no deceiving the one whose baby was taken. But what does the judge do? I'll cut that one in half. I'll cut him in half, and you can have half, and she can have half. The real mother says, no, give it to her. Let him live. That's what a mother does. That's what a mother does. We'll give up whatever it takes that our child will not just live, but will prosper in the kingdom. We have to know. There's just so many times in Isaiah 49:15, it says, "Can a mother forget the baby at her breast and have no compassion on the child she has born? Though she may forget, I will not forget you." There were a lot of years where I could not imagine a mother giving up her child and just walking off. And I was ministering one time to a woman. We were doing some door-to-door stuff, and we went to minister to a lady. And my friend, she says, "Do you have anything?" And I said, "All I have is Isaiah 49:15. How can you forget your baby? You're still nursing it. How can you forget?" And unbeknownst to me, a couple weeks later, she left. She left her baby. And I could not imagine that. And now we walk through that again today with our great-grands, where Mama is not there. I don't understand. I don't understand. I just, there's just no way you can understand anybody that's a true mama, how they can walk away and leave their babies. I just don't. There's not a thing in this world that man could say to me to make me walk away from my babies. That's right. We used to joke, I'm not leaving because he won't keep the kids. Just a pure joke, but it's come to fruition in many lives. in many lives. And it's a shameful thing. A shameful thing. The Canaanite woman in Matthew 15:21. Let's see, 21 and 28. Let's see. Okay. This is the faith of an unbeliever. She is persistent. Okay. Behold, in verse 22, and behold, a woman of Canaan came from the region and she's crying out to Jesus, have mercy on me, O Lord, Son of David. My daughter is severely demon-possessed. And he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and urged him, saying, send her away, for she cries after us. Get rid of this woman. She's bugging me. Just sweep her under the rug. Not Jesus. He said, I was not sent except to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Meaning, you're not of my family. I can't do anything. Then she came and worshiped him and saying, Lord, help me. Help me. How many times have we been that persistent? But he answered and said, it's not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the little dogs. Calling her a dog? Well, those were fighting words, right? No. She said, yes, Lord. Yet even the little dogs eat the crumbs which fall from their master's table. Then Jesus answered and said to her, O woman, great is your faith. Let it be to you as you desire. And her daughter was healed from that very hour. Persistence. Stick-to-itness. Mike, he always tells me I'm like a dog with a bone. I ain't giving it up. And sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it causes a little bit of trouble, But when you know that you know that you know that what you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing, I don't give up. I can't give up. I am like a dog with a bone. It's just that way. I know when he was pulling his physical shenanigans, and I was walking through our den, and it was, I think, the first time his heart had stopped. And I got to slap him around a little bit, kind of bring him, revive him a little bit until the rescue squad got there. And persistence, getting a hold of things. But I was walking through our den where he had been laying, and he's in the hospital, and I felt a spirit come on me of a widow. And I stopped and I thought, no, I don't like that. I mean, it was something I can't even hardly describe to you, but I felt it. I felt it come on me. And so I just stopped right there and I said, okay, I don't want that plan. Thank you very much, but I don't want that plan. I said, but I know enough about God's Word and enough about the calling that He has on us as one, that I'm not quitting. So I just told the Lord, I said, I don't want that plan, but if that's plan A, if that's the plan you have for me to walk the rest of my life as a widow, I'll do it. I will not back away from the call. I will not back away from what you've called us to do at all. I said, I will step in and I will do the best job I can do for you and the kingdom. I'll not stop. I just don't want that plan. If we can do it another way, could we? He never required it of me. But why didn't he require it? I think mainly because verbally I made a declaration. I declared that I would not turn. I would not stop. A lot of times when we have a death in the family, people get mad, they get mad at God. Oh, why'd you take them? Why'd you do this? Why'd you do? He's sovereign. He can do whatever he pleases with us. But all of it is to work obedience in us. That's all. And we're all destined to die one day. You know, even in the rapture, people are going to think we've died. I mean, we'll still be alive. We don't really die. But even if this body dies, even if, it won't matter. Because it's what we do, you know, between the date of your birth and the date of your death, there's a zit in there. It's what you do in that period of time that affects everything for eternity. It's whatever you do. So I believe when I told him, I will not turn back. I will not turn back. I'll not be mad at you because I know you have my good at heart. I'll not be mad at you. That he let me have the real plan that he had for me. And I'm so thankful. I am so thankful. I do not want to do this life alone. Either without him or Jesus. Neither way, I don't want to do there. And I think that's what we have to do. We have to begin to declare in the atmosphere those things that we desire, those things that we're called to do. We have to declare them, and we have to stand there in them. We have to. There's no other way. There's some other women. I didn't pull scripture up for any of these, Philip. Miriam, she was ambitious. I try to be, but sometimes I get tired in the midst of it. It took me 10 years to finish a quilt because I lost my ambition. Finally I did finish it, but then all four of my girls wanted it. Well, it's just one quilt, and well, make me one, but I don't have the same stuff because I used all their clothes that I had made them over the years, and made hearts out of them. And so there's no more of that material. So I guess they'll have to auction it off, and highest bid gets it, huh? Maybe. Deborah, patriotic and prophetic. I can't imagine a woman that's not patriotic. I have a daughter that's not patriotic. After 20 years in the military, and she's not patriotic. I don't understand these things, you know. I guess it's not for me. All I can do is pray that someday she realizes that men and women have laid down their lives, that we have the freedom to be in the church today, that we have the freedom to walk with the Lord and do those things that we're called to do. Ruth gave up family, a woman of constancy. She stayed with her mother-in-law when she could have gone back home. Esther, self-sacrificing. Were you born for such a time as this, like Esther was? Why? To save the people? Now, I know we can't just go and save all the Jewish people, but I mean, there's lost here. Should we not be sacrificing some of our time to bring in the lost? How about Mary Magdalene? Transformed. Abigail, capable. She took the blame when her husband was a fool. The word calls him a fool. Nabal, when he would not give food to David and his men. Abigail said, "Let it be on me." And she brought food and things for David and ended up being one of his wives. Capable. Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptizer. Humble. It's almost lost today. Mary, the mother of Jesus, chosen of God. Well, Mary wasn't the only one chosen. You're all chosen. If you are with him, if you're a believer in Jesus Christ this morning, you've been chosen, you've been set apart, and not for yourselves or by anything you've done, but for the kingdom, to further the kingdom. Mary of Bethany. How did she get in there? The woman immortalized. She anointed Jesus' feet with expensive anointing oil and then dried his feet with her hair. That put her in the Word. Immortalized her. Martha, Lazarus' sister, she was the worried housekeeper. Mary sits at his feet. Martha's busy, doing all the things, fixing the food. And Jesus says, but Mary chose the better. She sat at my feet. She learned from me. Martha, just busy doing the housework. How many of us feel that way a lot of times? I'm just a homemaker. Well, there's a lot comes out of a homemaker that gets you a lot of places. Dorcas, a seamstress, sewed clothes for those that had no clothes, made coats, all these things. Lydia, a businesswoman, a seller of purple. And so you can just go down the list. There's so many women here that we can learn from. These were all Proverbs 31 women, all of them. And you can beat yourself up over that. You can't always, I think, how can you be a Proverbs 31 woman and do all that stuff? And golly, they sold fields. And when he was in the military, I had to sell our house. I had to get rid of things. I had to do those things. And I never once thought of it being like a Proverbs 31 woman. I just didn't think about it. But in a lot of things, you can look back on your life, things that you've had to do, things you've walked through. Gals, you're a 31 woman, Proverbs 31 woman. You are. Sometimes just to stand and sustain, huh? Proverbs 23:22 says, let your father and mother be glad. Let her rejoice who bore you. Let her who bore you rejoice. I had instance with my oldest daughter. She had gotten pregnant out of wedlock. It was devastating to me. It was devastating. And she looks at me as she's holding Caleb, our grandson Caleb, and she says, I bet you wish I'd never been born. And I thought, oh, how wrong, honey. How wrong. How wrong. I said, when I found out I was expecting, I prayed for a blue-eyed blonde girl. And God gave me what I wanted, a blue-eyed blonde. Her eyes are kind of greeny now, but when she was first born, they were blue. Sometimes they change after they're born. But I was able to tell her with all my heart, no, you're exactly what I wanted. And I don't care what they go through. The desire for them is always there. Always there. And she's very driven today. She does more stuff than I could ever think of doing. I just can't imagine. She works 3 jobs. She's sole support of her family right now, and she does 3 jobs. She's working all the time. She calls me on her way to work and on her way home from work, and some of it she does from home, but she's very driven, very good work ethic, but sometimes too much. Proverbs 14:1, hey baby girl. Proverbs 14:1, every wise woman encourages and builds up her family, but a foolish woman over time will tear it down by her own actions. So we have to be very careful. I could reprimand right now, I could, but to what? To what end? To know that she comes looking for Nan, it means everything. You want to go to Bob? You can. Yesterday when I was sharing, there were 2 little girls about that age and size, and they got to laughing. They were just tittering them. And they chuckled and carried on so much that even Mama started to giggle. And so she had to take the girls outside to compose herself. And I told her, I said, they don't bother me. I love that. They should have the freedom to move and do in the sanctuary. Never put them off. Let them go and do those things that they need to do, because that's how they learn. That's how they learn. And they aren't always quiet. It's not always convenient. But you know what? That only lasts a short time. It lasts such a short time. And then they get big. And then maybe they don't want to come to Nan and Bob. So it's just all a part of it. When I was getting ready to do all this, I found a mother's love recipe. And I thought, boy, this is good. So there's certain ingredients. Number one, you get a pound of unconditional love. You know, no matter what they do, you still love them. You may not like what they do, but you still love them, right? You have 1 bunch of affection. Your bunch can be as big as you want it to be. 3 tablespoons of trust. Now, if trust is broken, it takes a whole lot of unconditional love and affection to help that trust grow back. Because there will always be that one little nagging thought. Is that true? Liars don't get into heaven. They don't. And so if you're doing something you're not supposed to do and you break trust, until you rectify it with the Father, you're just not going there. You know? Enough said. 2 handfuls of timeless memories. We are making timeless memories. There will be a day when maybe we aren't here, but they're going to remember the time they stayed at Nanny and Bob's. They'll remember. And she'll remember sitting on Nene's lap to go to sleep at night, and the Shuggies and all the stuff. And they'll even remember some of the stuff they shouldn't have done, like break the ceiling fan, putting maple syrup in my elbow macaronis, things like. They'll remember those things. It always comes back. I can remember things that I did that, timeless memories. You know, and Mom didn't find out until she was really sick and getting ready to pass away. Yeah, timeless memories. 6 drops of examples to follow. I think that should be more. I think there should be more than 6 drops. Of course, if it's like an essential oil, it's very strong, and 6 might be enough. But you have to have an example to follow. And I pray that with these children, they're getting that. 2 cups of patience. I think that needs to be about 8. Because you don't ever ask for it. You don't ask for patience, because with it comes tribulation. But I sure do need a lot. Okay, 1 pinch of laughter and tears. Sometimes you laugh so much you do cry. It just happens. 1 dash of sleepless nights. We've all had those as parents. Okay, season it with creativity, intuition, tenderness, and most of all, dedication. You cannot give up in the midst of the race. He says, press on toward the end of the calling of your race. You have to keep pressing on. So with this recipe, how do you prepare? Number 1, to be a mother is the greatest gift a woman can have. She makes an imprint on our hearts and becomes an example to follow. Mother, the noblest title on earth. And regardless if your mother is a born-again believer or not, she deserves honor, as does the father. He says, honor your father and your mother so your days will be long on the earth. He means that. With our mouth, we can die early because of our dishonoring our parents. She's an invincible warrior. She dedicates everything to make sure her children have everything they need. We never have to tell her we're hurting, sad, or worried. She already knows. She sees it in your eyes. She sees it in your countenance. She sees it in the way you carry yourself. A mother always knows. And if she's filled with the Holy Spirit will tell her. He'll also rat you out if you're doing the stuff you're not supposed to. I've known him to do it. Okay, another one is mother is the one who can ground us with roots, and yet it is able to give us the wings to fly. We raised our daughters to fly, to release them to go and live their life. Others have not done that. I had a friend tell me one time, she says, how can you let them go? She held on to her daughter, and she never married. She stayed there and took care of them in their old age, and now they're gone, and there she is with nothing, you know? She makes us feel like the most exceptional and precious person in the world, and she holds our hand and protects our heart. That's what a mama does. She dedicates her life to us, ignoring her weariness and her pain. She soothes our sorrows, cures our woes, and rejoices in our success. Number one cheerleader is mom. Second only with daddy. Yeah. Our number one cheerleader. That is who she is. That is who she is. And so on this Mother's Day, just think of, you know, we don't ever come into this world without a mother. Mine's been gone 31 years. I miss her every day. I don't necessarily think of her every day, you know, because life goes on. But there's instances that I can remember. You know, my mama would be tap dancing through the living room. She loved to do that at Christmas time. She'd say, I wish I could tap dance, and she'd go tap dancing through the living room singing roast nuts chesting on an open fire. Instead of chestnuts roasting, well, that's not right. Humor gets you a lot of places. You know, so timeless memories, things that come back to you. And if some of the memories aren't so good, then ask the Lord to change them. Change them. Make them what you want them to be. Make them what you want. Be the best mom you can be. You know, I'm working on being great. It's a job. It's a job. The older you get, I mean, you're grand for a while, and then you get great, and I'm working for a great, maybe. If I live that long, maybe I'll be a great. But for moms today, that's what it is. We have just a little token of our affection for you. A lot of people call their pastors mom and dad. I don't go for that. I'm just Sue, and he's just Mike, and we have a different job than some of the rest of you. But you know, not that I probably couldn't be a parent to most of you at my age, but it is what it is. So,
Amen.
Okay, I'm done